Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pat Flynn Show. It's great to have you here. This is your host, Pat Flynn. We are starting a few minutes early. Dan John will be here presently, and we're going to talk about the greatest fat loss tool ever made. Stay tuned because this one I think might surprise you. It's probably not exactly what you think it is, but it's going to incorporate well with so many of the principles that we've talked about before. So Dan will be here in a few minutes. In the meantime, I wanted to just make a couple of announcements because, as usual, there is a ton of stuff going on. But we can start by sharing what we're drinking. So cheers to all of you. If you're here for the live stream, sound off in the comments. Let me know what's in your cup. I actually have some Dunkin Donuts coffee today. Pretty good as far as hot bean water goes. Let me know what you're drinking. So a few things. I've been traveling, so I'm finally back. I always miss this. I legitimately miss podcasting and streaming when I'm gone. So it's good to be back. I was in Pennsylvania for the weekend, got to catch up with some friends, was at a wedding, and yeah, here I am, home in Wisconsin. It's good to be here. It's good to be back with all of you. So very quickly, there's a lot of stuff going on. Let me mention just a few quick points. First off, we're doing if you are on my email list, we're doing a big celebration sale in celebration of the 4th anniversary of Strong On. And what we're doing is we've put together different bundle packs of the best of Strong On workouts from year one. So if you're somebody who wants an awesome deal on just a ton of high intensity fat stripping muscle building kettlebell workouts, pay attention to your inbox if you're on my email list. If you're not on my email list, this is the only way you can get it. This is sort of a special discount that's only available to subscribers. So if you're not on my email list, you can get on my email list and you can get yourself even more workouts for free if you go to 101kettlebellworkouts.com. So that's just 100 free workouts. And that will get you on my email list. 101kettlebellworkouts.com. Get you on my email list. Then, if you want even more, you can take advantage of the awesome sale we have for the best of Strong On workouts, which means by the end of this weekend, you could have like 200 workouts. Here's Dan. Welcome, Dan. We're live.
Hey, hi.
Good to have you here.
Good to be back.
Just wanted to, good. I was traveling, so I just wanted to catch up with a few things before we went live. But
go ahead.
Dan, I found another one of your old articles, Dan, and I wanted to discuss it today. It's the best tool ever made for fat loss. Do you remember this one? Let me give you a sneak peek here. It was Men's Health 20, if you can see it on the screen.
Yeah.
2015. And I'll just let the cat out of the bag right now. It's not the kettlebell. It's not the barbell. Dan John says it's the floor.
Oh, getting up and down off the floor, yeah.
So I thought we could use this as our topic of conversation today. Maybe explain some of the theory behind it, and then talk about ways that people could begin to implement this into their programs. How does that sound to you, my good sir?
Yeah, well, the problem with those articles is they make the title so catchy that, I don't write the titles, so sometimes I don't know.
But it's good for the podcast because I don't have to think. I can just copy stuff that you've already done and talk about that. Yeah, so outsource the headline writing, right? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the 4-minute miracle was when I introduced Tabata front squats.
The 4-minute miracle.
But what's funny about that article, the Tabata one, that is well before. I mean, I've often blamed myself, and rightly so, for turning the Tabata into a fad. That's on me, folks. I think I had the first I might have been the first person to really talk about Tabata in the weight room.
Yeah. So before we discuss the best tool ever made for fat loss, and we'll skim this article a little bit, Dan John, legendary strength coach, according to this website, according to Men's Health magazine, where this article is from. How's your training been this week, Dan? Give us a quick catch up of what you've been doing in the gym.
Yesterday, I was at the RKC2 in New York City at Momentum Fitness with Marco, and Jeff was there, and boy, we had a good group. And I'll be honest with you there, Patrick. Sometimes with the RKC ones, you get one or two people who are loathsomely unprepared, woefully unprepared for the weekend.
I know all about that. Yep.
And then you also get the person who wants to turn their RKC certification into the ticket to fame and fortune. And so you get That might have been some of it, but I didn't sense it. I didn't sense everybody was competent, worked hard. I
Good.
can't believe how easy I teach the windmill and bent press now. Honestly, Patrick, it is almost, I don't, I think all I do is walk them through this progression. It starts with original strength, it moves into sticks, it moves into, it's mostly we do a lot of mobility work. And then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, you got a kettlebell overhead in a windmill, and then you're doing a kettlebell bench press.
I would love to see that. Do you have a video of that?
No, and I'm sure that's going to be one of the questions we get here. But maybe I can, when you invite me out to Dragon World or
Dragon Gym. We were just there, but I think we'll
the-
have to bring you to Wisconsin for the next
into
one.
the Flynn gym,
Dragon World.
we'll go from there, because it's and the other thing too is I'd be a little worried about when I make videos. Sometimes people just so fully are, and no offense to most people, but there are true idiots out there watching my videos, and they'll make comments and stuff, and somebody commented on my lisp last week, and it was like I just banned them for life. That's a shitty comment to make to somebody.
Oh, of course it is, but that's just the internet. I mean, as I've gotten older and crustier, as we both have, Dan, I mean, I just have a zero tolerance policy for stuff like that. If somebody just feels the need to say something that stupid and that unhelpful, they're just gone. I don't ever want your business. I don't ever want your money.
Yeah, I've been dealing with this person for a while. It's weird because he'll bring up this Catholic stuff in like direct messages and then say something like that.
Just say something so rude and just Anyway, sorry to hear that, Dan. It's always frustrating to deal with. Yeah,
It was a great cert. Actually, I came home and I retyped up some notes. I was shocked how good everybody looked.
That's cool. That's good to hear. It's always good to do a workshop when people are just prepped, because then you can just get into the fun stuff. You know, you don't have to feel like you have to like catch people up on stuff they already should have known coming in, So
the graduate workout was actually me finishing up my teaching on the overhead ballistics. And this is something maybe your listeners would want to try. We set the time. I use, I have a timer in my phone, and so Marco set that up. Every 20 seconds from the floor, double clean, double jerk. So the long cycle from the floor. Okay. So every 20 seconds for 20 minutes. So look at the volume on that. I didn't want to tell him that when we started, but that's a lot of reps. And we went, and so clean, jerk, 20 seconds, clean, jerk. And what happens is, because the load is so reasonable and the rest period is not bad. It's funny because I was going to go 15. I said, that's not enough. 30 was too long. And I just honestly winged 20. But as I was watching it, people's techniques, all of a sudden everyone, at first, people are still finishing their jerks, in a muscly position. And I kind of went like this because I didn't want to coach it, because I knew that the reps would coach that. And the same person, 2, 3, 4 minutes later was, shoving the head through the window, biceps on ears, perfect position, which once again reminds me that the best coach I have is Coach Repetition. Coach Repetition, I got to tell you, sometimes I don't pay him enough, but he's always right. So it was good. It was a good weekend. Good. Last night we took second in trivia, but it was good. It was good. We did well. So
overall, good things. All right, excellent. Let's get to our topic at hand here. Let me see if I can pull up. There's one thing before we talk about the floor, Dan, and why this is such a useful and universal tool for fat loss, and we can talk about how maybe to integrate it into kettlebell workouts and stuff like that. There's a line in here. There it is, right? That I think is a really important key. It says, here's why the floor works so well. Floor work is an exercise in inefficiency. And this is a theme we've talked about before, Dan, where we've said, as a general rule, there's always exceptions to general rules, but as a general rule, for strength, we sort of want efficiency, right? It's all about developing, we just want to be efficient at certain patterns. So we need consistency. We need to practice
throwing the discus far, throwing the javelin far. You get rid of all that. Crappy discus throwers have all these ticks and tweaks and extra spins, and masters, you look at it and go, well, that was
right. Same thing with the guitar, right? If you want to play really fast, you have to practice the same passages over and over and learn to use as little movement as possible, right? In your picking hand and your fretting hand, right? It's all about efficiency. Same thing with strength, right? We practice the same patterns, we get our technique dialed in. But as you point out, fat loss is sort of a different game because we're just trying to waste calories, right? We're just trying to just burn, burn, burn. So we actually want to introduce elements of inefficiency. And sometimes that means variety has more of a role to play in fat loss. So we sort of think, okay, strength efficiency, that means more consistency. Doesn't mean we don't want any variety, but probably more consistency. Fat loss, we actually want wastefulness.
Right.
We want inefficiency. So probably doesn't mean we don't want any consistency, but this is where variety maybe has more of a role to play. So maybe just talk to us a little bit about that, Dan, and we can talk about how floor work serves that role.
Let's pick a couple of topics real quick, a couple of things real quick that if for the listeners. Okay, first off, you decide you want to lose body fat on a bicycle. You put yourself on a streamlined helmet, you wear spandex, you buy a $10,000 bike. I would argue no. You should wear hoodies. You should wear shorts to catch the wind. You should have a one-speed bicycle that you probably have to jump off and push up hills. You want it to be a bit of like my bike is a cruiser. It's a bit of a chunker. To go up a hill, I have to stand up and rock it like this, and it's an upper body thing. And because that highly efficient Tour de France bike is way too efficient. And you want to be catching the wind. You want to be struggling to get up a curb because it's so steep.
Right. You want wastefulness when it comes to
yes. And that's why I think heavy hands for walking is such a good thing. You put those 1 or 2 kilo hand weights, the 2 to 5 pound hand weights, and when you walk, you have this inefficiency. By the way, but the funny thing about the hands is that it makes you stride prettier, which I love about the human body. If you're an Olympic swimmer and you decide to retire for a few years and you get very heavy, swimming is the extra body fat you've put on and your ability, your skill set as a swimmer. You're probably not going to do very well losing weight swimming. You probably should pick up something else. So it sounds crazy, but and obviously you need to take care of things in the kitchen. You take care of things in your sleep, your napping, your rest, your meditation.
Let me be clear. Basic assumptions in this conversation. We're talking about fat loss with exercise. We're assuming that you're eating like an adult. We're assuming that you're getting to bed on time. Right. We can't keep having the same conversation over and over. Like,
no, Pat.
Grant us that.
Sorry,
now
Pat.
Let's talk about exercise, right?
You said that. But then I look and the very first question is from Mustaki, and he asks, what advice be for fat loss for dummies?
We'll come back to that.
My point is that here we are talking about this, and yet the very, very first question facing us is tell us what to do. And you've got that nice little, I have it up on my gym wall. You're in the Hall of Fame, by the way, Pat. Good for you. It's your Pirate Mat 2 weeks with science program, where you get up and you drink 30 grams of protein. And I think you do, I'm just going to spitball it, but you do some pull-ups, push-ups, swings, and goblet squats before your oatmeal and protein breakfast. You have a lunch workout, and you have a dinner, and dinner is veggies, protein, right? And you're drinking, you have people drinking mushroom coffee, which, if you don't mind me saying, gentle world, what in the hell have we come to when people are drinking mushroom coffee versus
we've come to
the richest kind, the mountain grown kind?
I ran out of the mountain grown. I'm actually running. I'm running on Dunkin today, Dan.
God, Dunkin Donuts is big in the East, man. People are talking about this donut shop the whole time. I'm like, trust me.
Their coffee isn't, as far as trash coffee goes, there's 2 places I actually like. Dunkin Donuts and Chick-fil-A actually has surprisingly good coffee. Okay. I can't stand McDonald's. I can't stand Starbucks. So, but anyways, whatever.
Starbucks is too acidic for me. And
it's tough.
Listen to me. Oh, it's too acidic for me. Oh my God. Oh wait, I was in New York too long. I'm whining every time I talk now.
Okay, so
here's the thing about New York. How you doing? All right, hey, what inefficient exercise? You got to more inefficient. Why New Yorkers have to scream in their phone and act everything is like a nuclear event about to happen? By God, we're DEFCON 4. And then you listen to the conversation, the guy's going, I would like a pizza with anchovies. It's like, dude, you don't need to shout that loud. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe some New Yorkers here could explain to us why that is in the comments. Philadelphians have, we know, their own quirks. But
Yes.
now to return to the thing, yes, obviously nutrition, sleep, these fundamentals are important. We will come back to that question,
Yes.
but we are focusing on exercise today for people
Now,
who want to
can I
sort of
add one?
optimize fat loss, right?
We know this.
Mhm.
Only 5. Okay, let me finish this though. Only 5% of fat loss is nutrition. Is exercise. Only 5 out of the 19 out of 20 magic markers. Only one of them is exercise when it comes to fat loss, right? True, except for that research they did about a year or so ago, where they took a whole bunch of people who averaged 10 to 12,000 calories a day. 10 to 12,000 steps a day, and asked them to not walk very much for 2 weeks. In as short as a 2-week period, their metabolisms got beat up. They actually began to trend towards pre-diabetics, diabetes, and they stopped the study. So the important thing about exercise, gentle listener, yes, it is much more efficient to eat less calories and then lose weight through that way, except it doesn't work. Except it doesn't work sitting by itself. You have to do something for the hormonal side of things, and that's what exercise does. I think within about 10 years, we'll understand that the benefits of exercise are at the hormonal level, not at the calories in, calories out model.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is with calories in, calories out is it's true, but at the expense of being trivial and a tautology, pretty much, right? It doesn't actually tell us a whole lot of stuff about how people should best go about living a lifestyle where they can be healthy and lean. And that's what we're talking about here. And we know that as like there's many other factors, environmental factors, hormonal factors, exercise factors. And we know that exercise has positive impacts when intelligently engaged on our hormonal profiles, acquiring lean muscle mass. That way we just sort of burn more calories automatically rather than manually. All these. So Dan, what we're coming back to a theme is, again, sort of everything is connected. Everything matters. It's not either or, it's both and, right?
But, and Pat, and we could probably have a podcast every week and say the exact same thing, and people would still. Just a quick side story. Had a person who's got a debilitating disease, and she looked at me and said, "Well, I'm in a size 2 now." And I thought, and it was a joke. It was one of those jokes that I love, where in the face of horror,
there's still humor, right?
You're still humor, and it was one of those things where you have that laugh, like. And it was like both of us. It was that breathe out, that where the diaphragm, where you just, okay, thanks for putting the pin in the balloon and taking the stress out of the room. I really appreciate. Yeah. So exercise for fat loss should be inefficient. It's interesting. I just mentioned that workout we did, that clean and the double kettlebell from the floor, clean and jerk, basically long cycle with breaks. 1 rep every 20 seconds for a while is probably one of the better fat loss workouts I could ever prescribe to somebody, because you did this long movement, boom, you put the weight down, and then if you look at the workout, you're only exercising 5, 6, 7 seconds on every minute, but it's so boom, boom, boom. It's so inefficient versus watching the person, as I did the other day, walk on a treadmill. Someone in New York came in to walk on a treadmill. Well, New York is built for walking. You didn't need to hire someone to do this. You could have just walked in Central Park. And if you see someone who lives in a beach community using a treadmill, it's like, dude, beach. I can't imagine a better place to walk here in Utah, forests and mountains,
It's a funny thing. I can maybe understand it in the winter in Wisconsin, but many other places doesn't make a whole
Yeah.
lot of sense
So,
to me. All right. So let's all right. So we're going to talk about the floor specifically here in a
yeah.
minute. This is the greatest tool ever made for fat loss. Says legendary strength coach Dan John. But we're trying to show what's supporting using the floor. And really it's going to be this idea of level changes, which is built upon this idea of trying to get inefficiency into your fat
Mhm.
loss workouts, right? So we can kind of see how we're advancing the case here. Now, of course, there's many ways to get inefficiency into your workouts, and doesn't mean you want to be like completely idiotically random, right? Like there still should be some general structure to how we go about
Mhm.
this. One of my favorite things is instead of just kind of like a run where you're just kind of at a moderate intensity for a long amount of time. I just like interval running, right? Where we go between walking, sprinting, jogging. And indeed, I'll use the floor a lot of times in this, where in between those intervals, I'll sometimes just get on the floor, do a set of push-ups,
Exactly.
introduce those level changes. So that would be an example
Well,
of how to have, and by level changes, real quick, we don't just, you sometimes mean just, getting up and off the ground, which is naturally inefficient, right? Brings in many muscle groups. It's just also a good skill to have. But we could also maybe think about level changes as just like levels of intensity throughout a workout, changing your levels in that
okay.
way, right?
That's well, and I like you said that back in about 100 years ago now, the Swedes invented a training method called fartlek, Fartlek, which means speed play.
I remember this.
And I still think it. Now, people argue whether it has value for the elite athlete, and it's like, trust me, go to a high school program, have them do it. That's all they'll need. But what you just said is basically the old concept of speed play. I would say if you're running in an area that has mild hills, always sprint up the hill. At the top of every hill, do a push up. There's your two rules. Uh, every hill you have to sprint up and do push ups as appropriate. After that, you can walk, you can skip, you can climb a log, you can throw a rock. You can. I, to me, I think you're right on when you said that. I like what you said about there's levels of intensity and there's levels of getting up and down, half kneeling, prone, on your back. The thing about the floor is that no matter how many, is that if you can organize it, that you get your clients up and down off the floor a lot, they get that hidden metabolic hit over and over and over. I mean, if you really want to make this workout tough, do the clean and jerk followed by one push-up every 20 seconds. For 20, well, that would be rough.
Oh, yeah.
Because that level change would be, and you would notice, you would watch people really stagger up after a while. That's when I can read. That's one of the ways I read intensity. People first do their Marvel comics. When the first couple of rounds, by the way, I try to watch a show called Black Widow. I know a lot of you fans are Marvel. Oh my God, I just get so tired of these 35-minute fight sequences constantly. But everyone's on their neck and then they kip up onto their feet. And that's what happens when you first start doing this drill, Pat, is if we're doing the get back up drill, basically, gentle listener, you lay on your belly and then you get back up. And then you lay on your back and you get back up. You lay on your left side, you get back up. You lay on your right side, you get back up. You lay push-up position plank, you get back up. And then I do changes by your left hand has to stick to your left knee, your right hand has to stick to your right knee, those kinds of things. It's in the article, right?
Yeah, we've got, well, here, let me pull it up again real quick. For people who are just listening, we'll read through it for you, but it's over at Men's Health.
Oh, okay.
And Dan, you talk about the old grass drills in football.
Oh, yeah.
The old love to hate drills, where you do the high knees and you have to pop down to the ground.
And they're absolutely idiotic until you become, legendary. And then when you're legendary, you look back and you look what your high school coaches did and you're like, yeah, that was actually really a good drill.
Yeah. Or at least you can say that there were nuggets of gold in their otherwise idiotic, haphazard shotgun approach to conditioning. Right?
Yeah.
Right. There's stuff we can mine from our old middle school and high school coaches who really just used to try to brutalize us. Right. Maybe we don't want to do it exactly the way they want to go about it. So we can use there. So I want to go back to the idea of bringing in the floor and level changes in the kettlebell training, because another good example of this, of course, is your humane burpee. I think, right? Where you have the swings and squats, yes, but you also have, very importantly, that level change there of getting onto the floor, doing a plank or a push-up and then getting back up again. And if people haven't tried this, I mean, just introducing a few simple level changes, using the floor into your workout. And by level changes, we mean just going from vertical to horizontal, right?
Well, it can be, level change is I mean, there's the ground on your back, on your side, half kneeling. There's jumping is a level change. Walking is a level change in my world. Yeah. Any combination of it.
Yeah. And you had the idea in the article of just kiss the ground between sets with any of the following examples. So here's some of the ideas that you give, Dan. I'd be curious to hear if you have any new ones. You talk about bird dogs, plank variations. You have 5 different plank variations that you link in here. I don't know what all of those are.
Sure.
Push-ups. What else would be some things to just get on the floor and to just start incorporating into these into various workouts between sets?
What we do now, I mean, that's funny because this article probably was written in 13, 14?
I think 15.
But no, that's when it's published.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So is this one of the ones that you had written elsewhere in Men's Health, just sort of repurposed it?
Oh, probably. Yeah. Probably. Yeah. So what we do now is original strength, I didn't model it as well this last weekend, but I usually try to do like we'll do a set of 10 swings and then jump on the ground and do neck nods. Set of 10 swings, rocking, set of 10, bird dog, one push up. It doesn't have to be a lot of load. By the way, and that's the hard thing, gentle listener, to understand. Don't think I'm saying 50 push-ups. One push-up, because it's the getting up and getting down is getting down and getting up is the key. It doesn't have to be, a set of 300. It doesn't have to be anything fancy at all.
And it doesn't have to be high impact either.
In fact, and that's another thing. Here's a big one, and I'm glad I caught myself. The hip thrust. The hip thrust on the floor, where the glute bridge, where the naked hip thrust, where you just pump. By God, it's wonderful because it's a kettlebell swing. It's a hinge, but it's down there, so you have to get down there. So I've never done what I'm about to say, but it would be an interesting idea. Is kettlebell swings supersetted with hip thrusts?
Yeah, very cool. Very cool idea. You have a few fat burning combos here.
Oh, go ahead.
And you're talking about mixing groundwork with other fast-paced, heart-pumping exercises is a good idea. The simplest way to do this, add push-ups, which you've just been talking about, Dan. An exercise like the kettlebell swing raises the pulse, but then popping up and down off the floor to perform push-ups makes it jump even higher. Dan says, try this. Perform the following 3 exercises as a circuit, finishing the prescribed number of reps for each movement before moving on to the next. Only rest when needed. That's 1 round. So you've got kettlebell swing, 15 reps, goblet squat by 5 reps, and push-up by 5 reps. Doesn't that sound familiar, Dan?
Well, okay. So the reason I didn't put the humane burpee into this article is it's too hard to explain. It gets too long. In fact, the only thing I would change in that, I'd probably put push-ups at 3 or 2 or 1.
Sure.
Most people don't have the. Yeah, I mean, I'm from that generation where you just did push-ups, and I'm not sure it's something I'd rather you do 1 good push-up than 10, push-ups.
Right on. Yeah, or you can ladder them, right? So just to give people the idea of the humane burpee, if you're, I guess a little bit more advanced, higher reps, ladder down every set.
Yeah, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yeah, I think, and if you just want to warm up, here's a good warm up for you. 15 swings. It can be 10. I'm just going to say 15. 15 swings, 5 goblet squats, 5 push-ups. 15 swings, 3 goblet squats, 3 push-ups. 15 swings, 2. That gives you a total of 10 goblet squats, 10 push-ups, and what is that? 45 swings. Which kind of, you're going to be ready to go after that. I mean, maybe you need more. You got some specific thing you need to work on. I'm always amazed when I do workshops. No matter what we do for a warm-up, somebody always has to do some other thing, and then they tell me about some condition they have, and I'm like, dude, I mean, you're 23. I mean, how can you have this many things?
Yeah. So Dan, let's summarize some of the key takeaways before we head to questions. So gentle listeners, we're going to do Q&A here in a minute. Please share the video, and submit your questions. So to my mind, Dan, there's a few things to keep in mind. First, principles. For strength, we want more efficiency, which means we probably want more consistency. For fat loss, we want more inefficiency, more wastefulness, which means this is where variety is going to come into play. A good way to achieve this is to kind of fluctuate intensity within a workout. And a cool way to achieve that is with level changes, just getting up and down off the floor. So using the floor as a tool for fat loss and incorporating that into your workouts, either within the workout itself or just getting up and down on the floor of rest periods to do stuff like original strength and mobility exercises. All of that's going to have a nice sort of blipping the throttle type of effect. Is that anything you would add to that summary, Dan?
Yeah, I'm going to stop you right there and I'm going to say, by God, gentle listener, will you listen to what the hell he just said? I got to tell you, I'm up to here. And no offense, I'm not going to pick out anybody, but in Europe, they're called physios. Here, and they're called physical trainers. Would you guys listen to what he just said? When we're talking about getting stronger, you do easy strength. You go in and you hype up your technique. You make it as perfect as you can. You get reps and you never miss, you never miss, you never miss. Oh, for fat loss. Oh, okay. Well, then you want to go and ride a crappy bike and eat more fermented food, eat more fiber, drink more water. You want to become inefficient in exercise and kind of sort of inefficient in diet too. Fermented food and fiber is in a sense more inefficient. If you pop in a sugar cube for coffee into your mouth right now, I can guarantee your body will hyper utilize it as fast as it possibly can. It's going to shoot your insulin up to, it's going to do all those things you don't want. So inefficiency is what fat loss is all about. Efficiency is what strength is all about. You want to be as efficient as you can at the Olympic final in your sport. Wasted effort is going to do no value for you. You're not at the Olympic finals trying to lose body fat. That ship has sailed. That is some other time, some other place.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, this ties into the first question, which you already pointed out. Dan Mustaki wants to know, what advice would be fat loss for dummies? I'm an absolute idiot, he says, and need help. Appreciate both of you for your good work. Isn't there a series? So I'm actually a For Dummies author. I have 3 For Dummies books with Wiley, but there is a series for idiots too. Now, what's the difference, Dan? I never really thought about this too deeply between a dummy and an idiot. There's got to be some difference, right? But if there's a series for idiots, maybe you should not get my books because my books are for dummies. Yeah.
Yeah. One of my favorite lines from Shakespeare: "You are the idol of idiot worshippers." I just love that line. Here's the thing: you already know the answer to this. I'm sure of it. I mean, it's going to be. You have to incorporate. I think you have to incorporate fasting at some level, and I don't know what that necessarily means to every listener. I just think
it's like, to me, fasting is like exercise. It's not whether you're going to do it. It's just how much, when, what's appropriate for your level, etc. Right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. You're going to have to really dial in your sleep and meditation, rest side, whatever you want to call that whole side, the recovery side. Because we know that the body, because of cortisol, the body is going to cling to fat. You can kind of tell I'm puffy today. These trips, the food in the airport, the food on, I come home puffy. Do I look puffy today?
No, you look fine, Dan. You're fine. I mean, trips just kill you. I mean, I was just in the car for 16 hours. It's just it's amazing how draining that is. Yeah. Uh-huh.
So when you get a chance to travel a lot, sometimes you really pick up the things that make you fat at home. We know the research is clear. The first night in any hotel is always a crappy night's sleep. It's just it's a given. So when when you're there 2 or 3 days, you start to get a sense. Hydration is an issue when you travel. Elimination is an issue when you travel. The quality of food, the lack of fermented food is just the lack of vegetables, fermented food, high fiber foods at a typical place is really insightful. When you go to New York, you do more walking. So I guess what I'm trying to get to our listener is, everything I just said. Drink more water, dial in your sleep. Take care of the basics and vegetables and stuff like that. That's part one. And of course, part two is I think you should lift weights followed by a walk. But
Right. Yeah. So for dummies, here's a plan. Get your protein up. We know protein is a hinge factor. It helps control calories, increase satiety. It's more expensive in terms of what it takes to assimilate and digest than the other macronutrients. So protein up. Get protein up. That's one of those hinge factors that we see consistently in the research. I like incorporating shakes, but you can do it however you need. Just get the protein up. As Dan said, you have some way of controlling calories. Fasting is a good, reliable method to do that. Whether you do, brand new. It just came out this century. Nobody's ever fasted before, right? Yeah.
So this book here is from 19. This is its like 12th printing. So this is from 1905, I think, first printing. Let me just read this real quick to you. We of the slim-waisted gracilities, breakfast on a cup of yellow tea or a cup of black coffee or a dish of fresh, ripe fruit. Oh, we of slim-waisted gracilities, breakfast on weak tea, coffee, or a bowl of fruit. I just found that funny. That's advice from 107 years ago.
Yeah.
And someone was complaining that they had invented intermittent fasting.
Because nobody has ever fasted before, right? Yeah.
No, Jesus didn't fast in the desert. He just didn't eat.
So protein, fasting, lift weights, get efficiency for strength training, be wasteful for your conditioning and fat loss stuff, and get to bed on time and do what you can to lower stress. Those are the 5 main points. If I'm going to add a few more, limit or eliminate hyper palatable foods. Everybody knows what these are. These are the foods where you can't eat just one. Get the Oreos out of your house, that kind of crap. Get the chips and get your environment clean, right? Don't live in an environment where it's easy to get access to that stuff. Your environment matters. So, and then replace that stuff with not just protein, but colorful vegetables, water, yellow tea, whatever. What is that? Is that chamomile tea? I don't know what yellow tea is, but drink that. It's good. There you go. Very good.
But and I do believe that there are times for these 2-week programs. Mustaka. Pat has his 2-week pirate map, which I think is actually now one thing you'll notice on Pat's pirate map. You have a lot of volume in there, right, Pat?
I don't remember that one.
I want to say
maybe
you got to be sneaking up on 200 plus swings a day, and that's right. And
maybe that doesn't surprise me. I mean, maybe I've got a lot of programs, Dan. I can't remember what I put out 2 weeks ago. So
here's a simple thing for 2 weeks. Start your day with a protein drink, or when you break your fast, I would always suggest, so do 100 swings, get your protein drink in. A couple hours later, do 100 swings, get your lunch that is very colorful with the veggies and fermented foods and protein. A couple hours later, do your 100 swings, eat that dinner thingy, lots of vegetables, protein, and water throughout the day. 3 sets of 100 swings, not 100 in a row, but 3 swing moments a day, and do that for 2 weeks. Rusty Moore has his fat loss boost where you eat 3 chicken breasts a day, basically, if you're my size, and veggies, and you do that for 2 weeks.
Yeah, movement snacks. I like that.
And but I like 2-week intensives, but I would suggest for most people to wait 4, 5, 6 weeks before you take that serious 2 weeks in. Give yourself 4, 5, 6 weeks of just lifting the weights and going for a walk.
Yeah.
Adding the vegetables before you try that.
Brendan, I just saw this come in real quick. He says it is fasting. No, it's not. You tuned in too late. The tool that we're talking about is the floor. So you're going to have to go back and listen to the original conversation. The tool we're talking about today is actually not fasting. Well, we're talking about it now, but that wasn't the theme of the episode.
And it's important theologically to understand the difference between fasting and starving and fasting and feasting. Fasting is choosing not to eat.
Right. It's voluntary poverty with regards to food. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think one of the things when I work I don't know if I could ever work with adolescents again. I don't know if I could ever work with anybody. I'm an old grouchy bastard, Pat. But one of the things that I found more and more frustrating later and later in my career was getting the athlete to voluntarily stop doing something.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Fasting will help you to build temperance, one of the cardinal
Well,
virtues.
it literally does. But one of the things I found very helpful in my career is I would get rid of a pet lift and try to find a different way to get around it. Or I try to, it just voluntarily not doing something is it's remarkably helpful
Right.
in long term. But okay,
Indeed. Just highlighting some comments here. Hello from Poland, Anthony. Saul says cheers. He's drinking his coffee with vanilla whey and coconut milk.
No way.
No way. I'm drinking that whey.
Huh?
He's got a leg day and then biking. Well, I hope you're riding. I like your advice, Dan, of riding a crappy bike. Find the crappiest bike at a garage sale you can and make that your piece of fat loss equipment. Yeti Eddie says this one's going to be for you mostly, Dan. Do you guys think it's worth doing the RKC certification? I'm 19 years old and I'm thinking about saving my money for that trip. I feel like it would help me with my cross training for judo. So let me just say real quick before you answer this, Dan, because I'm not really involved in the RKC world anymore, but I was 18, 19 when I first, in fact, I was the youngest person, I believe, at the time to ever pass the RKC.
And who beat you? Who beat your record?
I don't know. Who did?
Kelly, my daughter.
Did she really? How old was she when she did it?
She just turned 18.
Ah, good for her. Yeah. So it was my first year of college. I went and like you, Yeti, I didn't have a lot of extra funds, but I actually used like book money and stuff to make, because I cared, because I knew this was important, and I wanted to be around smarter people than I, who I could learn from and influence with. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't want to pat my back, but I mean, it's gonna be hard for me to say the following sentence. If I'm running an RKC, I think there has great value to it. Otherwise, what in the F am I doing there?
Let me ask you this, Dan, and we'll speak frankly as brothers here. Do you think somebody should do the RKC if it's not with you? Obviously, I think if they can get an opportunity to train with you in any capacity, the answer is do it and buy that ticket yesterday.
Well, I don't know how to say this nicely, but I have actually told people, if you go to a cert and your team leader is this person, just turn around and walk out the door. Because you're going to have a lousy experience.
So let's just say this, Yeti, if you're going to do the RKC, just make sure it's the one that Dan's leading.
Yeah, here's the thing, Pat, in total candor, though, the quote I just said is the only one that'll make it. I'm sure there's people who would say, yeah, if it's Dan and John, turn around and walk out. Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm not saying that. So, yeah, do it with Dan. And we will get a workshop here with Dan going soon as well.
Yeah. In fact, I'm doing one in Roseville, California next month.
Oh, cool.
There's not a lot of people going. I mean, we might have to even cancel it, I understand.
Well, it's always an awesome opportunity to train with Dan, and it's worth traveling for. So let me just reiterate that. Yeti says, "Thanks for the podcast, one of my favorites." Really happy to hear that, Yeti.
Thank you.
We're pretty fun online, but it's even more fun if you get to hang out with us in person. All right. Callum says, "What do you guys think?"
Say it right, Callum.
What do you guys think of the Penlay Row? I'm doing it heavy 2 times a week and light 2 times a week. Saw an article by Penlay where he said you could do them almost every day because no negative.
I don't do them.
Do you want to explain us the Penlay Row, Dan? Do we know what this is?
Yeah, I've seen it. I don't coach it. I'm sorry, Callum.
It's a variation of the barbell row, from what I remember, right?
And Glenn was an Olympic lifting coach,
right.
And if I saw down below somebody asked another question about a Chinese lifter, and it's like, I mean, on the list of things I'm worried about, row variations, Callum is nil.
What are your favorite row variations, Dan?
Oh, I mean, the suspension trainer stuff now.
Just using the PRX, the body weight row stuff.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I've never in my career seen something more. That's what I want out of the lift. I'm not a big fan of rowing with barbells. Very often, it just becomes a lower back, beater. And
I agree. I like, if I'm going to go heavy with rows, I do single arm dumbbell rows.
yeah, I mean,
Because
and
then
even
you can
then,
brace, you can just get your low back out of it. And like, look, we'll train to low back with deadlifts and swings and stuff like
yeah,
that. Right. And so for me, if when I want to go heavy with rows, I'm doing the heavy single arm dumbbell rows, and
yeah,
then I'm just doing the TRX row stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, when I was Olympic lifting, I had massive lats, and I didn't do a pull up or row.
Right.
Just getting those. Remember the lats, the obliques, the glutes. These are massive muscle groups that you don't need. I don't think you need a lot. Now, having said that, I do think that the hip raise and some of Brett Contreras' work on the glute has been eye opening. But you don't really need to isolate those. If you sprint up a hill, you're getting a glute workout, but you're also getting an oblique workout. So
Yeah. Cool. Good question, Cal.
thanks.
Trey says, Dan, do you see any issue with alternating between mass made simple and easy strength for fat loss for periodization every 6 weeks?
You're thinking about doing mass made simple more than once or twice? Well, God bless you. Yeah. No, there's no issue with that. Let me know how the third round of that goes, though. Okay.
that would be an interesting cycle. If you're going to do that, Trey, we would certainly be interested to
you
hear from you in a couple months. Yeah.
Yeah, and Trey, actually, I don't think there's a problem with that. In fact, from my experience and my observations, the body loves extremes. It's like that research they've done on hyper cold. The Wim Hof method. When they actually study it, they find that the exact same thing happens when you put yourself in an ice bath as when you put yourself in a sauna. What would you rather do for half an hour?
If that's true, then why would you ever choose the ice bath?
But the body loves extremes,
Yeah.
and that's why living in a place like Utah, where you have the hot, 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 hot summer and the freezing cold winter, there's in Vermont people have it, Wisconsin people have it. There's a little step, skip in your step that you get because the body likes extremes.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna do the easy strength for fat loss protocol for 6 weeks after, I tell you one thing, you won't have to squat during those 6 weeks of the easy strength because you'll have taken care of it. Yeah, it's funny because on paper it sounds good. In reality, it might not. But let's find out.
Give it a shot.
Yeah.
Be the guinea pig.
Yes.
For Dan. Callum says, have you heard of Lou raises by the Chinese Olympic lifting athlete? Takes 10 kilogram bumper plates and does side raises all the way up to a lockout overhead, basically full range of motion. Scaption. Is this gimmicky?
Well, Callum, again, it's the same. Honest to God, Callum, think about what you're saying. Okay, say like you want to coach my Olympic lifters. So we're gonna do the Penlay Row, the Chinese Olympic lifting side bend. We're gonna do this. What I'm not hearing is snatch and clean and jerk. And so for me, these are all just. I mean, you're looking, you're focusing down that 1%. That wormhole that a lot of young, and if it's the Callum, I'm thinking about my student whose name I destroy every single day. You got to remember the big picture of things, especially with your working with teams. Now, I do recommend you look at asymmetrical risks and everything, but now remember every minute you spend teaching this exercise to your athletes is minutes away from restoration work, recovery work, the big lifts, eating vegetables. So no, I don't know anything about it.
Trey has a good question. He says, as a supplement skeptic, I'm curious if either of you guys have any thoughts
stuff coming today
on amino isobutyric something or other acid. Thanks, guys. So Trey, let me just say this. I don't know what that supplement is, but let me refer you to something that might help and give you some general ideas. One is it's good to be skeptical, but not necessarily cynical, right? So don't just buy something because you saw an ad for it on TV. However, there are supplements that have great research behind them that are very worthwhile. So when it comes to supplements, I say a couple things. One is that remember the name is supplement in addition to. So always in addition to, not instead of healthy eating, good sleep, intelligent exercise program. That's when supplements can be helpful, is in addition to, not in replacement of. And this is where things like protein powders and other supplements like For example, there's some really good research on various adaptogens like ashwagandha and how it helps the body better deal with the negative effects of stress. Like really good, high quality, very high quality research that often surprises people to hear that such good research has been done to show many positive effects of many different supplements. So how do you separate the good from the bad? Well, I recommend finding good research review sites from trusted experts. There's a number of people out there who spend the time going through the research, reviewing and compiling the research, breaking it down so you can kind of get the quick gist of it. Examine.com is actually a pretty good. They're not perfect. Yeah, they're not perfect, but they're a pretty good research review site. Examine.com, and you can just type in any supplement you want there. And what we'll do is it will pull up. For most supplements, it'll pull up all the research, the published research that's been done, and it'll show you the kinds of research, and then they give their sort of interpretation. And as far as I know, they're completely independent. They're not selling any supplements or funded by any of this. So that's one. There's other websites or even individuals. There's a number of experts out there. So if you want to email me, I can send you some people that I follow and trust, because I don't have time to go through all the research myself. So I do rely on certain experts and authorities to kind of give me the quick gist of some of these things. So that's what I would say. I don't have a specific answer for that supplement, but I would point you in that direction, maybe to figure out what, if any, evidence there is for that. Dan, anything you want to add to that?
Yeah, I have a 3-point thing. If it works instantly, it's illegal. If it works quickly, it's banned. So supplements, and everyone says it's supplement, and that was your lead there, Patrick, and I think that's right on. When I read these, by the way, Trey, one of the things I've been doing a lot in the last couple of months is reading old diet and exercise books. I'm not trying to be some old, you guys, you kids and your marijuana cigarettes and your hippity hoppity. I'm going back for fun just to see how many things we say in 2021 have been said for over 100 years. And the biggest change, I would say, since in the last 100 years, there were no supplements 100 years ago because there was no market. And now there is a market. And there is money to be made on supplements. When I was young, a guy who was kind of he had a great voice and was in a lot of movies. He's in kind of some of the beach blanket bingo movies. Well, he got in trouble for fake supplements. And I just remember my mom explaining that to me. I don't necessarily trust the supplement companies. Never have. I used to. And then the story about York is that Bob Hoffman would come out monthly with a new super supplement, but they were all the exact same powder in just different jars. And I've heard that from a number of people, including people who work there.
Yeah.
So I would be very careful because of Orrin Hatch, the senator here from Utah. He deregulated supplements. That's why Utah is such a big place for supplements. Most of the major supplement corporations are over there, right behind my house. In fact, Kyle, my future son-in-law, works at one of them. And I'm not saying good or bad or negative about any of that. I'm just saying that
the responsibility is on you, the consumer, to do your research, right? Yeah. But unfortunately, there is good research and good stuff to find out from there. So I would say it's good to be skeptical of this, right, and make sure that again, you're not, because there is a lot of crap out there, a lot of gimmicks and stuff that's actively harmful as well. But it's it's a baby bathwater thing. It doesn't mean that all supplements are useless, and some, in fact, can be very beneficial when built upon a solid foundation. So again, there's a sort of healthy skepticism, I think, that we should take with this. Yeah.
And one thing I would say, Pat, and this is something I think is important. I think it's if you do decide to take a supplement, you read up on it, you have to waive supplements. I used to really push fish oil for myself a lot. And then I realized that fish oil was getting in the way. And then I stopped taking fish oil for a while. And then when I got back to it, I see the problem was you need to wave through supplements, just like a seasonal approach to supplements. There's your moneymaker, Pat.
Yeah, I agree. Just this one just came in. It's related. Brandon says, does creatine create possible risk for the users? Well, this is a good example of a study that has been highly, highly studied. In fact, it's one of the most studied supplements, and the general consensus now is creatine is quite safe. I don't personally take it, but there is a lot of, I think, mythology around creatine being harmful for various reasons. But most of the research now shows that is actually not true. Yeah,
It helps in the bench press and the squat because you
Mhm.
put on load. It causes some people intestinal upset and diarrhea, explosive diarrhea. It was explained to me one time by a person. If you're an absolute responder to creatine, you're gonna notice in those very basic. By the way, if you put on weight on creatine, of course your bench is going to go up. You're going to have a bigger pad. And if you put on weight on creatine, of course your squat's going to go up because you have.
Okay. And it's going to help with energy in a particular pathway for a particular rep range and that. So it does work. It really does, right?
Yeah.
But it works in a particular way for a particular goal, right?
If you're a responder to creatine, it'll work for you.
Mhm.
If you're not, you might have explosive diarrhea.
Yeah. And magnesium is one of those things too, where if you just, the dosage is sometimes you kind of gauge when you're at the threshold by how bathroom goes, how toilet is. Yeah.
Magnesium is magnificent until it isn't. Yes.
Yeah. Right. Next question is, how good are side planks as a low impact exercise for posture? It feels good on my shoulder too.
It's a great exercise.
Yeah, I'm a fan of side planks. I love them. So just yes, good. Do them. Yeah, working all the plank variations. I love standard planks, hands, forearms. I prefer on the hands, right? Side planks, tabletops. Don't forget, tabletops are great. All that stuff. Crab walks. I don't know if you call those planks anymore, but whatever.
Moving plank. I use the word moving plank with goblet squat, farmer walk, that kind of thing.
Yeah. iChef says walking a well-behaved dog and reactive dog while wearing a backpack. That is one of the most inefficient walks I've ever done. I have a Saint Bernard who is incredibly horribly behaved. It's always the most inefficient walk that you can imagine. So walking an unruly Saint Bernard. That's the number one tool for fat loss. We have a new number one. Yeah.
Well, taking two kids to Disneyland or the mall is another one. We call it East-West. They just.
Well, we just took ours to Hershey Park. So with all the chocolate, it actually evened out, right? So we had the horrible inefficiency of our 4 children running around Hershey Park and it's like trying to herd cats, right? And then we had the incredible efficiency of ice cream and chocolate bars and all of that. So
you're a delight. That's great. Good for
hopefully it came out of rush. Yeah. All right. Saul says supersets rotating at the top of each minute has become a staple for me. For example, he does deadlift to power snatch to hand release push-ups using weight and reps that take 20 to 30 seconds.
Yeah, great.
And what do you think of that, Dan, if you want to summarize that?
Boy, I mean that I think it's a form of training that I'm sure has been around a while, but it's nice to hear people doing it. I'm sure there's nothing new under the sun in our field, but I like this. I like this idea of doing something complex and then resting. This is a circuit training variation that you don't see in the books, but it is probably a really good idea. Yeah.
Good. Mustaki says we have a 6-year-old foster kid. Female, 105 pounds-ish. Currently, we limit snacks and add vegetables, but there's no change. What do you suggest for parents who are helping an overweight child? Good question. Let me say a few things first, because we do not have an overweight child, but we care very much about our child's health, as all parents should. But we don't focus necessarily on weight. We focus on virtue and understanding, right? So for us, it's really important for our kids to understand things like temperance. Right. And temperance is making sure that the right parts of you are in control, such as your rationality, right, over just sort of all your various appetites. Right. So we follow and we also lead by example. Right. So we fast in our family. We actually follow a pretty liturgical calendar. So that's kind of easy. Just fits in with that lifestyle. Right. But then we also feast. We have our celebrations. We have our parties.
Go to Hershey's.
So we go to Hershey's. Right. But we show that balance, right, of the discipline of sort of restraining the desires when it's appropriate. We teach them about what healthy eating is, and we educate them of why it's important, right? We try to get them to understand why we're teaching them the importance of healthy eating, what the consequences of unhealthy eating are. So for me, education, it can't just, it's, all parents need to have rules and guidelines, right? But as far as possible, to me, it's kids are smart. They're a lot smarter than I think people give them credit for. Educating, taking the time to actually discuss with them why this matters, what a healthy lifestyle is all about. So that way they don't get, obsessed with just scale numbers or the wrong things or just magazine covers, right? But what real virtue is, what that looks like, and then, giving them the best possible information. And then for me, leading by example, doing it with them. I exercise with my kids. I do martial arts with the kids. We all eat the same stuff as a family. We celebrate together. We often fast together, all of that. So far it's good. We've got some very healthy, strong kids over here, but that's how I've been kind of working with this. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't want to, your advice is spot on. I don't want to give too much advice for a 6-year-old girl. In our family, the girls tended to go, we used to say they go wide and then go high. Whenever they put on weight, they would always get taller immediately. My only thought is there's probably some, I got to tell you, genetics and primary care might be an issue on this one, but I don't want to get in depth on it. Okay.
Colin says, quitting caffeine has killed my motivation to train. When I do train, the workouts have been not good. It's been about 5 weeks. Any advice, stories, experience after quitting the sauce? Thanks for your podcasts.
I have 2 cups of coffee that I pour for this podcast. So really, you want advice from me about cutting coffee? I try not to be a hypocrite, and you're asking me to be a hypocrite. I love coffee. I don't know why you would stop.
Yeah, Colin, I'd be curious your motivation there. I'll say that I did a caffeine sort of reset in college because I got to a point where I was just drinking way too much and it was counterproductive. And probably this is a common story, right? Where people realize, oh man, if I can't do something without my coffee, this probably means I should try and, give up my coffee, right? So that was rough, got the caffeine headaches, but it was worthwhile. I cut it out for a long time. And now I'm pretty consistent at 1 cup of coffee and 1 cup of tea. And I feel, quite good with that. Typically don't have the major crashes or the dependency issues and stuff like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's not easy. But I do hear, that people who stick it out sometimes never even go back to the caffeine afterwards. That was not me. So I'm not going to be a hypocrite either. I did go back to it, but it seemed like it sort of reset my tolerance in a pretty significant way. And I'll also say this for caffeine users, Dan, you talked about this with supplements. I think it makes sense to cycle it. So sometimes I won't have any coffee at all on the days I'm not doing an intense workout. I'll just have some tea. Yellow. I still don't know what yellow tea is. I'll have green tea. So my caffeine intake tends to be, much lower on those days. And then if I'm having a more intense workout day, then I'll have my coffee on top of that, which is what I'll be doing after this. So I just finished my coffee. Once I'm done with the podcast here with Dan, I'll pack it up, go to the gym.
Me too. I'm going to train right after.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a meme on Facebook. My sister posted it too about start each day with stop drinking coffee. Start each day with a delicious cup of some chamomile tea. That will make your life suck even more.
Look, I love chamomile tea, but not in the mornings. That's a nighttime tea for me. All right, we are out of time. Dan, before we go, what is happening at Dan John University? What are you cooking up, and what do you want to announce?
So the new course is going well. The Easy Strength Advanced Methods. A bunch of people bought it, and the feedback is really good. The feedback from the RKC this weekend is outstanding.
Super duper.
I'm working on the Easy Strength for Fat Loss course, and here we go. I think it'll be good.
Awesome.
I am struggling with how to talk about the gut biome. So what I might do is just have a bunch of cut and paste links, and then followed by the article, and just say, this is what I do. This has been the game changer for me, and here's the reason I do it.
Beautiful, beautiful. Well, before we go, gentle listeners, please like, comment, share, subscribe, leave a review. All that stuff really helps. I also have my 101 kettlebell workouts guide for free if anyone wants to snag that.
101
101 because 100
was not enough.
was not enough. So we had to that's free over there. 101kettlebellworkouts.com. Check out Dan John University. And yeah, really great session today, Dan. Always enjoy it. Always a pleasure. We've linked the original Men's Health article in the live chat so people can have that. And yeah, good stuff. So we will resume next week, I take it then.
Yeah, and I shouldn't be so tired and bloated.
Yeah, me too. I'm coming off. We'll both have a week reset after travel, and it'll be very invigorating, and it'll be a great conversation.
Literally, I'll probably be 10 pounds lighter next week. Literally.
So we will see you then, Dan, and see you then, gentle listeners.
Bye-bye.
Peace.